All right, sweet. Welcome to week 3, night number 5. So we are officially over halfway done now. To give everyone a quick kind of overview of where we're going, tonight we will cover connecting to some live data with some quick table calculations, which are essentially the cheat code to do everything that we learned how to do last week. So as always in academia, you learn how to do it the hard way first, make sure you understand it, then you learn the easy way the following night. So we'll cover that. And the live data will be a fun kind of real world example of some stuff that you may do in industry. So we'll cover that tonight. On Wednesday, we will cover the analytics pane in Tableau, which is something that we have not covered yet, but that's where a lot of the fun kind of data science skills lie. So that will be kind of our last core, call it learning night, will be this Wednesday. On Monday, a week from today, night number 7, the last week of our class, we will essentially cover everything that we need to do for our final project. So it's kind of the same as we do on a normal night where we learn kind of hands-on, then we go and do it ourselves, except for the full night. So night number 7 will cover everything that we're going to do for the final project. And then night 8, which will be next Wednesday, we will come in and build the final project. I've actually had some people go ahead and finish the final project after next Monday, and then they just kind of come in and turn it in on Wednesday. But that's what the remainder of the class looks like. So tonight and Wednesday will be kind of our last 2 learning nights, and then next Monday, next Wednesday will be our last 2 classes, and we'll essentially just be focused on the final project. So congratulations, you guys have made it this far. We are over the hump. I'm always super, super proud of everyone that takes this class and the amount of information that we condense into 4 weeks, 8 short nights. It is not easy. We're covering a ton of different things in a very, very short amount of time. So I just want you all to pat yourselves on the back real quick. I really, really appreciate you guys sticking with it. And if we get through this week, it's pretty much all on the home stretch from there. So congratulations. That's what the rest of the class looks like. Tonight, we obviously didn't have any real homework that we would use for storytelling. I think actually tonight is the first night we went, I think absolutely everyone sent me their homework. So congratulations on that as well, for sending across the function. If you haven't sent that across, it's not too late. Function that you found in calculated fields, in the example of when you may use that. So it's in lieu of a normal show and tell, since that'd be pretty boring. I am going to actually show and tell tonight, and I'm going to show you guys how to work with some live data, which will actually end up being the homework assignment as well too. So take notes, pay attention, so you don't have to do this all twice. But we are going to do kind of a group project here with me leading, but we're all going to fill in the data together, which is going to be kind of fun. And we are going to learn how to connect Tableau to something other than a downloadable Excel file. So pretty much everything we've done up to this point in class has been Superstore data. You guys all go out and download Excel files for the homework and work with that from any number of the example data sets that we found. That is rarely the case of how we do stuff in industry at a workplace. A majority of the time, you guys are going to be working with live data that either exists in a SQL server or a different software that you're working with, where you want it to be live and updating all the time. 18 minutes ago. You're rarely just going to get an Excel file and say, go have fun, do this analysis once and never do it again. You're going to want to build stuff that is live and persists and people can check every single day. I actually have like 3 Tableau dashboards just pinned in my Google Chrome that every single day when I log in, they update and I can see the real-time data. So we're going to learn how to do that together. I'm going to kind of walk us through it and we will go from there. Dun, 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 dun. So there's no real need to follow along. I will lead the charge here and I'll show you guys how to do it. So I have opened up Google Drive. This is what we are going to use for our data source or our data set that we're going to be working with tonight. The reason we are going to do Google Drive is twofold. The first is you can access it anywhere, anytime, right? So if you wanted to pull it up and edit the data on your phone, you could do that. If you wanted to edit the data from your work laptop, you could do that. If you wanted to log in at your desktop at home, you could do that. No matter where you're updating the data from, the data lives out in Google Drive, which is online in the cloud on the internet. So you can pull it from anywhere. You can access the data anywhere, and you can pull it from anywhere. Once you make the connection to Tableau, that data is live. The second reason that we're going to use Google Drive for this is in Tableau Public, it is actually the only option that we have to connect from. Some OData is a weird little package that you have to download. We're not going to talk about that right now. Google Drive is the only other one. If you click into more here, you can see this is actually deprecated. It doesn't work anymore. So it's the only connector that comes with the free version of Tableau Public. Now, I've showed you guys this before, but just to help you contextualize before we dive in here, if you bought the full version of Tableau Server, and had a desktop app like I use at work, this is all the different connectors that you can connect to in there. Right, so to a file is what we've done up to this point, either an Excel or a text file or any of these things, right? To a server just means the data lives in the cloud. It lives on a server. It doesn't live in your local, Excel file. You can connect to Google BigQuery, which is what we use at Buildertrend. You can connect to different products such as QuickBooks or Salesforce or Marketing Cloud. Microsoft SQL Server is what a lot of application developers will use to house their backend data. Right, there's a whole ton in here, but Tableau Public just has the one. The good news is if we learn how to do it using Google Drive, you pretty much know how to do it for any other server. So I'm going to open up Google Drive, and again, there's no you don't need to follow along for this point. I'm just showing you guys how to do it. I'm going to create a new Google Sheet. I'm going to call this Google Sheet ODSA Fall 2025 class example. And like I said, we're going to build this together. So now I'm going to copy and paste over our class roster. There we go. And essentially what I'm doing right now is I'm just building a data set for us to use as a class example. The data set lives in Google Drive, so we can access it anywhere. But we're going to build a Tableau visualization that connects to Google Drive. We're going to publish it. Then I'm going to show you guys how you can update the data and your visualization publishes real time. So right now I just have first name, last name. I'm going to add on, I'm just going to make up, this is always the example I use, favorite fruit. Fruit. Did I spell favorite right? It doesn't look right. And then I'm going to say score. Now, again, just for the sake of this example, let's choose from a list of fruit options so we can do some grouping together that are going to be apples, cherries, apple cherry, blueberry, or strawberry. Now, if you don't like one of these fruits, that's okay. Just play along for the class example. I just don't want, we have 10 different people. I don't want people putting 10 different things. It would make it really hard for us to aggregate and make pretty pie charts. So I'm going to send the link to this Google Sheet. I want everyone to go out and beside their name, just copy and paste one of these fruit options, right? So mine are actually strawberries. And then give it a score 1 through 10. So I think strawberries are like an 8.5 out of 10. Again, silly example, but we're going to stick with it. If you don't like any of these different options, you can just choose your favorite. And even if you hate it, you could be like apples. And I actually don't like apples at all. So that's going to be a 2.0. You don't have to add the decimal point. You just add 2. So I'm going to share this in Slack. And I want anyone with a link. Copy link. All right, so everyone go out to Slack and click into this Google Drive link. And then just go to your name here, copy and paste your fruit over, and we'll go from there. If you guys have questions or can't access the link, just let me know here.
I only have view access.
Ooh. Okay, that's not good. Ah, there it is. Thank you. You should just be able to refresh and be good. But if not, I'll drop the link in again. It looks like it's the same link, so hopefully just a quick refresh helps out there. You don't have to pay. If you just want to type it, that's fine. Just try to type it the same way I have it. That's okay.
Just do apples.
Okay.
And they're like a 9.
Okay, I'm going to go in and just fill out. Thank you, people that were able to get in there. And add yours. If you have not yet, that's okay. I'm just going to randomly copy and paste them over for the sake of the example here. Hey, how's it going? Oh, is that who you were calling? I'm so sorry. I didn't have your number saved, so I just ignored it. You got open? Oh, thank God. I would have felt awful if you would have been locked out and I didn't answer your call. I'm sorry about that. Okay, so we have this fake data set now. We are going to just real quick connect to it. And again, no need to follow along. I'm just showing you guys. So normally we'd click into Microsoft Excel. Right now we're going to click into Google Drive. And it is going to pop this open. I'll pull over so you guys can see it. And it will say, hey, which account do you want to connect to? I don't want to use my work account, so I'm going to come over here. And it's going to make me log in. I'm going to say, yes, that's me. And it's going to say, okay, do you want to accept terms and policies. It already has access because I've done this before. Whatever, a lot of steps, right? It's Tableau Public. It's connecting to my personal Google Drive. I'm giving it access to my data, so it wants to make sure that's actually what I want it to do. Now I'm going to have all of my Google Drive files. I have right here. If I were to scroll through all of these, this would be everything that I currently have access to. The 3D Brains file, that was a research project in college. I always like to caveat that so you guys don't think I'm some sort of Frankenstein person. But I should have, let's just sort by last modified. There we go. There's the data set that we just created. I'm going to connect to that. And there's only one sheet, right? Normally we drag over orders, but that's because there's 3 different tabs in that data set. This one just has one, and I've connected to it. And voila, here's our data that we just created, right? And I can actually, if I wanted to look at it here, you can see I have first name, last name, favorite fruit, score. Well, that's your what? Oh, there you go. And so now we can do whatever we want with it, right? For the sake, we're just real basic examples, so I'm not going to spend a ton of time making this look pretty. But let's drag favorite fruit over here. And let's just drag a count so we can see this is the count of how many people chose each favorite fruit. So it looks like blueberries are the favorite, then apples, cherries, and strawberries. There's a couple each. We're going to call this, rename total count. And then we're just going to make a second one real quick. That's favorite fruit. And let's do like the average score. So the strawberries have the highest average score at 9.5, even though there's only 2 people that voted for it. So it may not be super popular, but the ones that do like it really like it, right? Those would be some of the takeaways I could come up with. And let's just call this average score. All right, for right now, I'm just going to toss both of those in a dashboard without worrying about making it look too pretty. And let's hit save. Gosh, I guess I could have clicked that remember me button so it doesn't make me log in every time. And let's change the title of this to ODSA Fall 2025 Night 5 Group Exam. Okay, now notice when I'm going to publish here, I have a new checkbox that we haven't had previously when we're publishing. It says keep my data in sync with the data source and embed my credentials. So what this is saying is I just gave Tableau access to my Google Drive. I'm now saying keep those credentials. So keep Tableau connected to Google Drive and keep my data in sync. So anytime I make changes to that Google Drive file, my dashboard is going to update. So again, before we've been using the Superstore data, it's an Excel file. We pull it down, we download it, we work with it, but that data is not changing. This is saying, hey, this data is going to change. I want you to keep my dashboard live. So now when I hit save, over to the right, it is publishing. So now I can go out and find it. And voila, here's our chart. Right, super boring, super ugly, but we have our total count and our average score for each. Now, by default, I think this updates daily, right? Just because Tableau Public is free and it costs money sending out API calls, trying to get updated data. But we can click this request data refresh button whenever we want, and it will refresh. So let's make some changes to our data now. So everyone go back out to the Google Drive and choose a different fruit, right? So this may not be your favorite fruit, so it may have a lower score. But I just copy and pasted your names right below here. So everybody should have 2 new rows, or 1 new row, 2 total rows. Go ahead and grab a different fruit option. So not your favorite, but maybe your second favorite, and give that a score. So I'm going to choose my second favorite, gosh, is probably blueberries. I'd give those like a solid 7. I'll give everyone just a couple minutes to go out there and type it in. And again, if you can't access it, no worries. Or if you showed up a little late, no worries. I'll just go in and add in some fake data here. Okay, and then I'm going to go in and fill in some of these other ones. Oops. Okay, so now our data has changed, right? We have twice as many rows as before. We've added new fruits, different fruits. We've added different scores. Let's say, like for the sake of this example, let's pretend that we are running a fruit stand at the farmer's market. It's Sunday morning. I have my kid with me. Every time someone orders one of our fruits, he writes down what they order and asks them, hey, will you fill out this survey? What would you give your fruit today? Right? We're the CEO of this fruit stand, and we want to make sure that we constantly have a good understanding of what people are ordering the most and what things do they like or not like. If they don't like it, maybe we don't order as much, we don't supply as much. If we see a giant dip in our Apple rankings, maybe we got a bad batch, we need to change it, right? So let's just pretend every single time someone orders something, we write a new row in here. He's just constantly updating this Google Sheet. We go home for the day and we analyze our data and we make changes for the next week at the farmer's market. I just came up with that example off the top of my head, but it's a pretty good example. I would use this for sure if I was running a fruit stand. So we just filled this out with fake data, but I'm trying to help you contextualize when you may actually use this. So here is our Tableau Public link. Let's say that, right, we update the Google Sheet from the fruit stand. We come home, we check our Tableau Public. The cool thing about this example is we can check Tableau Public from anywhere, right? And we can update our Google Sheet from anywhere. So we're no longer bound by having to be at our laptop. We're no longer bound by having to have Excel open and a downloadable file. We are completely live and dynamic. I don't know what other adjective I was trying to think of. Anyway, so we go home. Let's see how we did. We click this request data refresh. And we are going to refresh this. And voila, now we see blueberries. Let me see, I can't remember if anything changed. Before it was blueberries, apples, cherries, strawberries in that order. Blueberries are still first, but cherries have overtaken apple. Actually, nobody went back in and added apple the second time. Nobody added in strawberries either. Our strawberries ranking still remain the same here, and our data is updated. So, if we had hundreds and thousands of rows, we may see these rows fluctuate more. If this is something that we're doing every single week, maybe we'd want to add in a date so we could see how these scores change over time. But for the sake of the show and tell tonight, and I'm right at half an hour now, which is my allotted time for this. This is a real world example of how a Tableau public dashboard can be something that changes and is live and updates as your real life data is changing and is live and is updated. So any questions on either what we did right here or when you might use this or Google Drive or Tableau or anything?
When would you?
So what I
corporate world, when would you? I know you use it for data. However, when would you use it to give data for whatever it is?
Yeah, great question. So I kind of kicked off before while you were locked out and trying to get me to let you in. Most things I build are actually connected to live data. So for instance, one I was looking at before we started class tonight was like, how many sales did we do today, right? I don't want to have to go and build a new dashboard every single time I want to answer that question. And I want to be able to answer that question whenever I want to, right? So I have the Tableau app on my phone and I just open up our sales data, and that you don't have to click any button. It's not once a day. That's real time. It updates constantly. So I can see exactly how many sales we did today. When I log on, when I wake up tomorrow morning, I'll check it again, see how many sales we got yesterday, which would be today, to see if we got any more after 5 o'clock. So that's one example there. Another one is like our product team that's building the Builder Trend app. They're constantly looking at how many people we have using the app and specifically how many people are using different features. So instead of fruit, it may have to-dos, schedules, photos, change orders, some of the features we have in our app. It's like, okay, a lot of people are adding in change orders. We want to make sure that the change order experience is like really, really good. So we're going to spend a couple more app developers developing and improving that feature. Oh, nobody's using, this isn't accurate, but I say nobody's using our photos feature. We don't need to spend we don't have to have as many people working on that because nobody's using it, right? Or we also have this thing called NPS. You guys probably get these emails all the time. It's like, how likely are you to recommend Builder Trend to a friend or whatever? We have that for individual features. So it's like, how likely are you to recommend photos to a friend or change orders to a friend? So if they see that they're getting really, really bad responses, they can go in and improve that feature. But these are the types of things that, again, if they were using static data, imagine having to download an Excel file, build a report, send them the answer to that report. And then the next week, they're like, how have our scores changed? We made this big update to photos. Has it gotten better? It's like, well, now I have to download the report, build a report from that, and then publish that and show them that again. You can just build it one time, and then as it goes, it's live. Yeah. So that's actually a good segue for what our homework tonight is going to be. We are going to build our own data set. If you want to use Google Drive and wanted to be able to like edit it and update it live real time, you guys can do that. If you just want to use Excel, that's fine too. But we're going to build something that we want to track for our own lives. So I've had people build budgets report, right? Where you can enter in, these are all my different categories. This is how much I want to spend. And then every time I spend something in that category, I can add in $100 here, $10 here, $5 here, and track if I'm staying below my budget. I've had people build chore lists for their kids. Like, hey, here are all the chores that we have to do. And then I'm going to put a 1 or a 0 beside when I can accomplish them or not. So it's like, hey, we have 10 chores. And we can see we've done 1, we've done 2, we've done 3, we've done 4. But I want you guys to spend some time thinking about, because we know how to work with the data now, we know how to build it. But I want you to spend some time thinking about how should that data be structured so that we can build reports off of it. I was actually talking to Mary after last class of like, a lot of times people will ask you to build a report and you'll be like, well, we don't have the data to build that report. You should have asked me before you made the data set because we're not collecting the right things for me to work on it. Or it's in a really bad format. So you guys have all worked with bad data at this point now. It's like, I can't build that chart that you want. So we're going to spend a little bit of time working on how to build the data itself to make the report. So I'll cover again, like exactly what we need to do for the homework tonight. But it'll be good to kind of look at it from both sides, not just what do I want to build, but do I have the data that I need to actually build that? And it's fun working on something you actually care about as opposed to just something you download.
Makes it more real.
Exactly.
Back to concept.
Yep. Any other questions? Okay, let's go ahead and jump in to our hands-on. First kind of hands-on, we'll go for about 20 minutes or so, then we'll take a break. Section of class tonight. Give me just 1 second to make sure. I'm covering everything I need from the PowerPoint. Yeah, let's just go ahead and jump in. Okay, so let's go ahead and open up Tableau Public. I'm going to get rid of mine. Open up a new one. I am going to connect to our Superstore data, as always. Drag over orders.
The screen is frozen.
Oh, thank you. There you go. Got that now?
Yes, thank you.
Yep. Okay, as people are pulling that up, I do actually want to cover just a couple of my slides because they do a good job kind of setting the tone for this. Okay, so last week on Wednesday, we got super into the weeds on how we can manipulate our data to create new fields. Obviously, that was super important, helping us understand how our data needs to look to build the visualizations we want. Thanks to Tableau, there are much easier ways to calculate those same types of things. So I showed you guys kind of the hard manual way to do it. Tonight, I'll show you kind of the cheat code way of doing it. And these are named quick table calcs. So instead of calculated fields, these are quick things we can do in our tables to calculate them a lot easier than having to build a whole bunch of different fields and using level of detail calcs and all those different things. So I know I've said this a million times before, but these are the sort of things that are really going to separate you from just kind of a basic Tableau novice that pulls in data and drags and drops a bar chart on there, right? So I want to show one quick example. Right, so on Wednesday, we talked through calculated fields, level of detail calcs, window functions. Some of these plus additional ones are available in a no-code feature called Quick Table Calc. This is actually an example we didn't cover on Wednesday, but if we were to type in a calculated field, and so I can make this a little bigger. There are actually times where you type in a calculated field and you get this little blue text in the corner that says default table calc. This is pretty much Tableau saying, hey, idiot, there's an easier way to do this. I know you're building a calculated field, but you actually don't need to. Let us do it for you. So this was an example that we did do in class, right, where we wanted to, let me zoom in a little bit. And I know it was on Wednesday, so if you don't remember this, that's okay. We wanted to calculate the percentage of each category, percentage of each subcategory that made up our total category sales, right? So we had 114,000 for bookcases, 328 for chairs, 91 for furnishings, 206 for tables. And we wanted to say, what's the percentage of the total category? If you'll remember, we had to create a calculated field using a level of detail calculation to get our total sums for the category, drag that over. We had our total category sales, our subcategory sales. Then we had to make a second calculated field, dividing our subcategory sales by our total category sales to get this percentage. Then we had to change the default number format to display as a percentage instead of a decimal point. Then we had to get rid of our category sales and subcategory sales just to get this final percentage of category sales, right? So I wasn't counting, but that had to be like at least 10 steps. Using a quick table calculation, which again, I'll show you guys, we'll actually pull it up and do it here in a second. It's as simple as right here, we have our subcategory sales. It's as simple as clicking in and going to quick table calculations, right? It's right there, and clicking percentage of total. So Tableau knows that, hey, this is something that people are going to want to do a lot. Let's just do it for them. And it takes one click there, hover, 2 clicks there, and automatically that will create our percentage of total that we'll do. So that's just one example. I think we'll build like 9 different examples tonight, but I wanted to set the stage before we actually dive in. And this is what we'll make, right? So when I showed you, when I hover over quick table calculations, you can see there's a few different options here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different options. Running total, difference, percent of total, rank, percentile, moving average. These are all things that Tableau will let you do automatically using a quick table calculation. We are going to go in and use all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus our original sales, 8 to build this table that shows us all sorts of different analytics about our categories and subcategories. Before we do that, there's one quick nomenclature that I want to get everyone aligned on. In Tableau, we've built tables before, but there's a few different ways of calculating these things, either across the table or down the table. And this will make sense once I start showing you guys. I just want to cover it with a pretty example on the screen first. If I'm talking about across the table, I'm talking about going left to right across. So for bookcases, I would cover central, east, south, and west. For chairs, I would cover central, east, south, and west, right? That would be table across. Table down is going to be going, just like it says, down the table. So for central, I'd cover bookcases, chairs, furnishing, tables, appliances, art, binders, so on and so forth. And then for east, I would cover bookcases, chairs, furnishing, tables, appliances, art, binders, so on and so forth. And then for south, and it repeats. Now, if I want to go across the whole table, I can go across then down. So for bookcases, it'd be central, east, south, west, and then central, east, south, west, and then so they wouldn't necessarily be disconnected. Down would be down, then up, and down, then down, then up, right? All you really need to remember, we're never going to use those. Tables across, tables down is going left to right or up and down. And then pane down, pane across. Pane is just any time there's a line, right? So furniture would be one pane, office supplies would be one pane, technology would be one pane. So that's important to remember, because if we wanted to do the percentage of total just for bookcases, we want to use pane down because we just want the percentage total for our furniture category here. If we want to do the percentage of total of all of our sales, we'd use table down. So that's the difference between tables and panes and across and down. Let me quit yapping, and then we'll cover these in the next section. And let's actually start building some stuff. So I'm going to turn off the lights in here so you guys can see the screen a little better.
The screen is frozen again.
Oh, okay.
Is it only
Thank you.
mine or?
This dang guest Wi-Fi. Okay, let's drag category onto our rows. And let's drag subcategory onto our rows. And then let's just start by dragging sales onto our text. Let me see if I can make this a little different. Okay, we'll be good for now. So let's start with our first example. We're going to go through all of these. Let's say we wanted to show the percentage of total sales that furniture or that bookcase that our subcategories made up for our category, right? The same example we did on Wednesday. All we need to do that is right click this arrow, go quick table calculations, and this is percentage of total. Now, it's showing as a percentage, which is good. But if I'm looking at this, I'm showing 5%, 14%, 4%, 9%. So these are adding up to 32.3%. I would have expected these to add up to 100. Who can take a guess of what we need to change? Why is this only adding up to 32% instead of 100%?
Is it because it's only doing it within the category or subcategory? Like, is that why?
Yep, exactly. So I'm going to move entire view real quick. That's kind of dumb. Let's do fit height. If I were to add up all of these, I get the percentage of my total is 100%, which I expected. So this is calculating the percentage of total down on the entire table. I want to tell it, hey, I only want to do it by category. I want to know what percentage of book or furniture my bookcases, chairs, furnishings are, what percentage of my office supplies, appliances, art, binders are, so on and so forth. So for the sake of example, let's drag sales back onto our text again. Oh, this is really ugly. Like this. Now let's change our second one here. Quick table calculation, percentage of total. Oh, it combines them. Okay, that's okay. We just need one. When I click into this after I chose percentage of total, I have this compute using, and voila, I have table across, table down, the entire table, pane down, right? So this is going to say I want to calculate it down, but I want it by each individual pane as opposed to down on the whole table. So if I hit pane down, now these will update. And I'll have, let me double check it, 100%. If I want to check these, 100%. If I want to check these, whoops, 100%. So now this is telling me that bookcases make up 15.48% of our furniture sales.
Use quick table calculation, right?
Yep.
With the percent total.
Yep.
And
Percentage total. And then I went back into the same one and did compute using, and that's when I chose table down. All right, we're going to do a couple things real quick just to make the rest of the class go way easier. I'm going to set up my table just a little bit differently. Let's drag sales onto text again. So we should have 2. And then let's click into show me and click that table option. That will just format it with our measure names and our columns and our measure values on the text so that we can show all of them side by side instead of on top of each other. That'll just make it a little bit easier for following along. So again, you should have sales and the quick table calc sales in your text. And then I just clicked show me and clicked that table. And then you guys should have this. Let me know if you don't. We'll get this set up correctly before we start diving into the rest of the examples. Okay, that's fine. Oh yeah, yeah. Great. So if we just like drag this up, we're at 100% there. So then all I did was I just drag. Oh yeah. Grab that on the text. There we go. I just formatted it a little bit, and I can never remember how to do it, so I have to use the show me.
So.
Oh, you're good. That's fine. Let's just do, I think you actually did it the right way instead of cheating, and then just needed one extra step there.
Well, I double right click is what I did. However, my numbers look like, oh yes.
They might just be flipped, yeah. If you want to change the order of your table here, like I have percentage of total here, and then I have sales here, you can move these around. If they're on top, they'll be first. If they're on bottom, they'll be second.
Okay, that's my sales some quantity, it should be sales.
Oh yeah, just drag. You can get yeah, just drag. No, leave it there for now. Drag sales down under there. Yeah. Now you can drag quantity off. Perfect. All right. The next thing we're going to do to make the class go way easier, because I've taught this a few times, and by the end of this, we're going to have like 7 different variations of sales over our measure values. It gets very hard to keep track of. So we're going to duplicate our sales value and call it something different, just so we don't get confused. So to do that, all you need to do is right click or hit the drop down arrow on sales, and then click this duplicate value. And all this is doing is just giving you a different field with the same exact data, right? If we were to look at our data source here, you can see that we have sales, copy 2, sales, copy, sales, it's all the same. But that way we can call it something a little bit different and not get super confused by keep dragging sales over. So if I delete this one, so we should have sales and a sales copy. Just hit right click into sales and then hit this duplicate button.
Oh.
Let me go through and see what I want to call it. Let's rename our sales copy. To do that, you can right click and click rename, or you can actually just click into the thing. Let's call this running total. And you'll see why we're doing this here in a bit, because we're gonna do this 7 different times. So now we've made a brand new field called running total, but it's just wearing a mask that says running total. It's just our sales in the background. We're just calling it something different so we don't get confused. So now we drag running total over underneath our measure values. You can see we now have 3 fields: sales, which is where we started with, this percentage of total, which again is just our second sales because we didn't rename that one, and this new running total. This is exactly the same as sales. So our next quick table calc, we're going to click into running total in our measure values right here. We're going to go down to quick table calculation, and we're going to choose the running total one, which is why I called it that. Now, let's see what running total is doing. We have 114,000 bookcase sales. We know that that's 5% of our total. Whoops, this is actually wrong. Somehow I got mixed up. Sorry. We know that that's 15% of our furniture sales. What running total is doing is adding up all of our sales, again, on the table down axis here. So it's starting with 114,000, and then we have 328,000 chair sales. So that's 114 plus 328, so 443. Then it's adding in 91,000, which gives us 535. Then it's adding 206,000, which gives us 742. And all the way down to our total amount of sales, which is 2,297,201. Now, you guys don't need to follow along with this part. I'm just going to show you a better example of when we might use this. So I use this a lot if we wanted to keep track of our sales over time. So if I were to go like month and year, and here I have my total sales. Let's say I wanted to make a little like dual axis chart like we've done before, where one is going to be the sales we had that month, and then our second one is going to be a quick table calculation running total. Right? Then I can do dual axis just like we've done before, and then I could have something that looks like this. Yeah, bad example, but you guys get it. This is our individual sales any given month in orange, and here's the running total that we have. So I could keep track of the total amount of sales that we ever made, or the number of sales that we made in any given month here.
Can you go back and show us how you did the dual axis again?
Oh, sure. You didn't need to follow along with this part, but all you have to do to get it on the same axis is just right click into the bottom axis and just choose this dual axis option. Okay, now if we go back to our example, and you guys are going to get tired of doing this, which is going to be great because you'll know how to do it. Let's change our running total to be the same kind of level as our percentage of total. So let's change this to be not table down, going all the way down. Let's change it to pane down. So again, we click into that and we change compute using. You can see the little black dot by table down. We're going to choose pane down. Again, that was right clicking into our sum of running total. Compute using instead of table down, we're going to choose pane down. Now you can see that this starts with 114,000, adds in the 328, adds in the 91, adds in the 206, but then it starts over. It's saying, let's do the 107,000, then add in the 27,000, so on and so forth. Then it gets all the way up to 719. Then it starts over with 167,000. Okay. Now, let's do our next one. So again, we're going to duplicate our sales and we're going to rename it so we don't get confused. So that's clear over on the left. In sales, we're going to click this arrow and click duplicate. Now we have our sales in parentheses copy. We're going to click this arrow again and choose rename. And we're going to call this one difference. Again, the only reason we are doing this is just so we can add all 7 of our different quick table calcs on one table and not just have sales, 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 sales 7 different times. Because trust me, they all look exactly the same and it's tough to tell which one's which. So now we have this fake sales that's just called difference. Let's add this onto our measure values. And voila, it pops up. Double check, look, it's exactly like sales. So now let's change this one to difference. So we click in, we go quick table calc, and it's our second one, difference. Now what this one is doing, and we'll go through each one of these, I'll show you how to use it, and then I'll show you a second example that's more real world. Let's say, but to walk through what it's doing right now, we have 114,000 for our first run. We're going table down, and it's comparing this row to the row above it. So there's nothing here, which is why this one's blank. But then for chairs, it's saying 213. That's the difference between chairs and bookcases. So if you were to subtract 328 by 114, it's saying this is 213,000 more. And then this one is negative 236 because it's doing 91,000 minus 328,000. So it's saying this is 236,000 less. This subtracted by that, this is 115,000 more. This subtracted by that, 99,000 less, so on and so forth. So again, let's change this to be computing pane down just to keep everything the same. So we click into our sum of difference. We go compute using pane down. Now you can see that the first box is blank for all of these because there's nothing above it, right? There's nothing about this. There's something about this one, but it's in a different pane. So we're not going to count that. And it goes all the way down. Okay, we're good here. Again, I'm going to show a more real world example. Let's just keep using it. But again, you don't have to follow along with this part. Let's keep in our... Actually, let's just use the same one. Let's change this from our running total to our difference. So this is pretty ugly right now. Let's change this to be like a bar. And then let's change the orders here. All right, so ugly, we could make it prettier if we wanted to. Our orange line is the number of sales we had in any given month. Our blue line is the difference from the previous month. So if our bars are positive, that means we had more sales this month than last month. If our bars are, it means we had less sales this month than last month. Builder Trend, for instance, is a monthly subscription. We want to sign people up. They pay us every single month. So we compare stuff month over month a lot. This is something that, again, it just saves you a step of having to go in and subtract it by yourself, easily spot trends. We do more or less sales than last month. Well, this month we did 83,000 sales. That is 34,000 less than we did the previous month, right? Yeah. You just mean like something like this?
Charlie, this is Celeste.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yep, I got you.
I think for me, you're going a little bit fast.
Okay. The bar and line example here, I'm just showing you guys. You don't need to follow along for that part. I'll try to emphasize that. We're just going to keep building this kind of table together. And then I'll show you an example, just for you guys to follow along, but you don't need to build it.
Oh, so it didn't do what I was thinking it was gonna do. Because I wanted to see the sales in blue and then the difference in gray, but it won't separate that way. But that's just me, so.
We can make the sales blue if we wanted to.
Yeah, just so I can see. Oh, okay.
Something like that.
No, I have the concept wrong, so it's a tanning thing. You follow it? I was trying to do it.
All
My
good.
bad.
Okay, we're gonna take a quick break. Before I do, I just let's run through what we've done real quick, and then let's take a break. So our sales, right? We know what this is. We've done it a million different times. We have now shown 3 different data points with just 2 clicks every single time. Right click, quick table calc percentage of total, click, compute using pane down. We now know that this is the percentage of our total category sales. We have a running total showing us our total sales that adds up for each category. And we have a difference that's showing us the dollar amount less or more than the previous row on here. Again, it seems trivial, but that's good. It's supposed to be easy. Remember that to just get this percentage of total, we had to create 3 different calculated fields and drag all sorts of things off and all sorts of things off. So this is really just showing how we can create new data points, show new data that we don't have in our data set using Tableau. So we'll take a quick 10-minute break. When we get back, we will go through, we've done running total and difference and percentage of total. We'll show percent difference, rank, percentile, and moving average. So let's take a quick break at 7:07 now. Let's be back by 7:17.
It's amazing how I understand better when I'm fast. I'm a traditional student, and it's so difficult to do. I have my whole master's degree on that, but it was in a subject that I was familiar with, and this is a challenge for me, so this, I need to be sitting right here. When I tried to go back and look at the YouTube, it was on my phone, and it just kept cutting off. I'm like, why is this cutting off? I mean, it would just shut off, and then I have to go back, and I'm like,
Yeah.
This is annoying.
And it's tough having to have, like, you either have 2 screens or you're like pulling one up and pulling one down, pulling one up, like just being able to look right here is
I
nice.
have 2 screens, but they're all connected to my work. And I'm like, yeah. And I was talking to our tech guy. You never know which app they're gonna allow you to. So Monday, that helped when we first started. I had just pulled up a totally different app. It worked fine. This would not load. So I brought my work computer with me because it had worked.
So when I did Slack would not work for me, and it will not accept Yahoo. It will only accept Gmail. So I had to create a whole new Gmail account, and now I'm in this class. Slack won't even work.
Well, this is why technology frustrates me. Oh, it doesn't work.
When it wants to, yeah.
Right.
It works when it wants to.
Right. It's like this.
Yeah, I'm a traditional student also. I understand I have to be in class, and I want to go back to my PhD, but now everything is online.
But when you do it in the subject matter that you want, you desire, it won't be like this. Because there's 2 ways to get a PhD. Well, online class, you're gonna study or you're not.
Yeah.
So I couldn't fake it. So I would go and I would print out the book, but you don't really have to because you can read online. But when it's the subject matter that you're interested in, you will find yourself reading and all of that. And then when you go to read the substantive, the questions, which are the easy points, you will be able to do that, and it'll all tie together, because you will read everybody's responses, and so if you like clueless, like, what is she, like, what is it saying, you go read somebody else's response, and be like, oh, and there's always somebody in here that thinks like you. So you be like following, like, oh, okay, I'm gonna follow this right, because we think the same way, and so, but it is challenging. Now, my girlfriend, she didn't read none of it, but
I have to read.
I had to read it. She didn't. She can summarize stuff and get it. I couldn't do it that way. So she got her master's too. So
But see, when I got my master's, it was different because you were able to go in class and do it online. So I like the talk, be in class, but I could do my homework online. Where now, they just have it, everything's just strictly online.
this takes the hardest part of online is figuring out what the person is.
Exactly. Because see, I thought it was me. I was like, and then finally I had to go look at that and say, hey, what is that you know? Because maybe I'm this.
But you could pick up easier when you're in class. You can raise your hand and ask that
And
question.
ask that question. Versus waiting online till they respond within the 24-hour.
And even if you ask it online, and then they don't give you back, you gotta reword it and re-ask the word. You could have a whole conversation right here in 10 minutes and try to figure out what direction you should go in. Yeah.
So I that now I do that. I'll go back for double masters.
I have a master's in psychology, but not in clinical psychology. I know that's where everybody's heading, but
You know, I thought I was tripping. I was like, what is and you know why is because it's $52 an hour.
right. We don't keep talking about the same topic. You don't find to do this. Sorry, no. And my kids can't come in with the same topic. But we talked about this last week. You know what, like I probably have no patience with my kids, but I was a therapist that works there, because I took a job thinking that I was gonna be a therapist. I work for the Salvation Army, and I work best with people who are ready to make a change. Don't work for them. I don't work for it with the people who want to talk about change.
Yeah.
We're not gonna be talking about it.
And don't make the change.
Right. And then, it opened my eyes though, because people blame the therapist for their problems, and once they get to that point where it's you against them, it's really hard talking to them. It's really hard being effective, because they're always going to blame you from that. When they decide that it's your fault, that something's not happening for them, you might have to turn them over, because they're not going to change their ways. And I'm like,
So that's why I was like undecided, like, do I go back? And then every time I think about it, it's like, well, if I go back for that, I might as well do the PhD.
I was an adjunct instructor at UCC.
Oh,
And but I'm watching Charlie work this mouse and all this stuff. I would have so much more to learn just the mechanics of music. The presentation to the students, I'm like, I'd be overwhelmed.
yeah.
I'm like, I've seen you twirl this mouse and expand it. I'm like, I have to take a course in how to make a presentation. The material really doesn't change.
Yeah.
It just, but there too, I was better with the students who were older, who had life experiences. So when you introduce the psychology concept, they can relate it to what they're going through. Like,
Well, see, that's what I wouldn't be able to do. Like, I'm not a good
See how
like,
each individual is different?
public speaker. Like, I couldn't stand up here and talk for 3 hours. I'd run out of things to say in like 30 seconds. That's why when I first started this class, like, I made these giant PowerPoints. And the first class I took, that's all I did was talk through the PowerPoints. I'm like, one, this sucks for the students because you're not getting any hands-on experience. and two, I hate it. I'm talking for 3 hours. So for me and my personality, it's just easier for me to like, I can do stuff
Right.
all day, but yeah, it just comes down to the individual. And
Because I'm a PowerPoint person.
Yeah.
Also, so I
More power to you.
agree with you. I'm a PowerPoint person, but I don't like honestly standing in front of the class doing it. I'd rather engage sitting down.
Yeah.
Than
Because it depends on who you are as a person. Like, are you either gonna be engaging, sitting down, or standing up?
or standing up.
Yeah. But the students, I just found that I was a better educator to the adult learner as opposed to the young adult learner, because they don't have enough life experience to really kind of grasp the concept. They gotta get a surface level. But then too, the younger ones make you think. I'm like, how did you get there?
Yeah.
And you realize that they've had so many different life experiences that I have not had, that I'm like, what now? So it makes you rethink your lesson,
Yeah.
because you have to, psychology want to make it applicable to their life. And they have so many life, they have very different life experiences than I do.
We were just interested taking that. I was taking a class today and interested in that we were talking about the same topic, that youth these days are going through way more life experiences than when I was young.
Right.
And that I wouldn't want to be
No.
nowadays.
They don't graduate to anything. They experience everything now. Like when we came up, it was a timeline. You can't go here. You couldn't, so you go sneak into the bar at some point.
Yeah.
But you had to be at a certain age to sneak into the bar.
Yeah.
You couldn't be sneaking into the bar until you was probably, if you had to be 20 to get in the bar, you started sneaking in at 18. They sneak in at 15. Like you don't have anything to look forward to. Like we had definite unwritten rules about how to do bad things.
Yeah.
But now, or challenge your parents. Like they just do. I'm like, everything is right now. I'm like, you sneak into the bar how? And they didn't do it.
And the concept, and I don't like this concept, but I used it earlier today in a conversation, the microwave children, and they want everything so quickly,
right?
That they don't understand the faster you grow up, you wish you were a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
But they, and then the devastated by a no. Like they don't feel like you should be able to tell them no.
Oh yeah.
And so I told my husband, I said, well, if they're gonna break down because they had a no, then we need to introduce no more often.
Exactly.
You got a no growing up, you're like, okay.
Yeah.
You was just trying it to sink.
Yeah.
You already knew it was gonna be a no.
But
in the back of your mind,
accept.
but you're like, okay, she's probably gonna say no. You were surprised when she said
Yeah.
Or this is when I hated was ask your father or ask your mother. You already knew which pair was easier, so I hated that. But we got no's all the time, and we were not devastated. I don't know.
They don't like no, and I'm running into it's younger and younger. They're like 11 and 12, and they don't like the no. And then again that microwave kiddo because they're having that ADHD, anxiety experience and more behaviors that you've been used to, and
And I think some of their behaviors are learned because they watch such and such. In any setting, now I will say that my children they get road rage for me, but it's just me fussing in the car. I'm not taking it to the other person.
no.
And so my son was with me the other day, and the guy turned out in front of me. He's like, "You and Dad." I said, "I only get upset when I have you in the car." I said, "Because you're my most valuable person." And I said, you'll never you never see me not have road rage because you only see when I'm in the car. I said, if he had done that to me, I was just by myself, I would not have had the same reaction. I said, so you have to understand why people act that way. And he was like, oh, I never thought about it like that. I said, and you'll never get the opportunity to see me do it any other way unless you're following behind me.
Right.
I said, but I only get upset when you endanger my children. Yes. You endanger me, I feel like I can maneuver my way out of it, but when I have my children, I say it's a whole heightened thing, and then they know this, I don't like when people are rude. And you don't have to be rude to me, you have to be rude to somebody next week. If I was in your company, I'm gonna get you for being rude, because it's unnecessary. And then they say, so they'll be like, oh my gosh. they'll start walking away, like, oh, she said something, you know, mama's gonna say something. But I'm pretty much even killed, but I do have, like, there's some little things, right? So, but, you know, we started telling our kids, I told my kids, you cannot watch Disney anymore, because Disney, if you talk to me the same way that little girl talk to that parent, you don't have that kind of mother. So it's just, you have to really be in tune. And I said, it's a lot of work. It's just a lot of work. It really is. And then I went to a conference, and the man said the same energy and effort you put into your 2-year-old is the same energy and effort you have to put in your teenager. I was devastated, because I just knew that I was gonna get a break. He said, no, that's when you have to really, and it's so true. And I'm so glad he told me that, because I was looking for it, and I'm like, it's the same messaging with bigger words.
Yeah.
So it's like, so you don't really get a break, but you'll see it pay off as they become when they become young adults. Like 18, 19, you're like, what did it, but 19, 20, they start, okay. So, I mean, it does pay off, but it does make you wonder, what the hell? But you don't get any breaks.
I always say, a parent's job is never done.
Right. You just switch roles. Now I'm the confidant and I'm the consultant.
Right.
I'm not the dictator or the you know, I'm like, my word behind. I don't get that anymore, but now I'm like, okay. So then you give them all the skills you can give them. Yeah. And you put them around people who have different skill sets than you. Yeah. Which I did on purpose, because I'm like, I'm never going to do that. I put my kids around soft-spoken people. I'm like, you need to know there's a difference.
This is great intellectual debate. We got to get back to it, though.
Okay.
This is great, though. It's going to be really boring going back to Tableau after this conversation.
This is really challenging, so.
Okay, cool. Let's go ahead and get going here. We are going to go through our next 3 or 4 quick table calcs. So let's go ahead and duplicate sales again. Again, click that right arrow, click duplicate. Then you should have a nice sales copy. Let's click in and rename this one percent difference. Yeah. Again, we're just renaming them so we don't lose track of them. So let's bring our new percent difference that we just made underneath at the bottom here for our measure values. And again, right now it's just sales. So you can see 114,880, 114,880, same there. Okay, so now for our percent difference, right, we are going to click in. We're going to go to quick table calc, and we're going to choose percent difference.
You're making me also.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Something happened. I must have overlaid something. So I'm missing the cells.
Oh, yeah.
So here it is, it's right here?
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. And then for that one, you'll just click in quick table calc. Percent difference. Yep. Okay. So percent difference and difference are very similar. The only difference, no pun intended, is in the name. One is going to be shown as a raw number and one is going to be shown as a percentage. So they're doing the same comparison. Chairs at 328,000 is 213,000 more than bookcases at 114,000. Or it's 185% more. Right? This one is 236,000 less or 72% less. This one is 115,000 more or 125% more. So the big difference of when you would show difference versus percentage difference is percentage difference is going to normalize the change, right? If I went from 1 sale a month to 5 sales a month, right, that's a 500% increase. But it's only 4 new sales. So if I went from 100 sales to 500 sales or whatever example that may be, I'm showing hundreds more, but it may be less as a percentage. So anytime you want to kind of normalize between these big variances and show, hey, it's still small, but it's as a percentage, it's growing at a faster rate than something that may already be really big and is growing hundreds of thousands, but already started as hundreds of thousands. So the calc is exactly the same. It's showing the same thing. One's just as a raw number, one's just the difference, and one's the percentage, the difference as a percentage. Any questions here? Let's go ahead and change this one to be pane down as well too. So again, to do that, we click into our sum percent difference, compute using pane down. Sorry, we don't really need to do that for the example, but I kind of like having everything
Harley, the screen is frozen.
all the same. Thank you, Celeste. I
Welcome.
will refresh here. Okay, I don't think we really need to do another example. I mean, the example would be pretty much this. Obviously, if we wanted to show instead of bars, or percentages, or instead of the total number, we could show the percentage, but the use case would kind of be the same.
How did you get
Oh no, did it die? The good news is we're pretty much just doing the same thing 7 different times. So you can just follow along as the talking through the difference of these different quick table calcs. Okay, for our next one, let me look real quick and see what it is.
How did you get on the sheet 2?
Oh, this was just the example I was doing just to show you guys. You don't need to follow along.
I wanted to understand how did you get on the order?
Yeah, so I just brought in our order date here.
Oh, okay, that's fine.
And then by default, it groups by year. So then I just clicked into, yep, no problem. Good question. Okay. For our next one, we are going to do, we did running total, difference, percentage. We've already did percentage total. We started with that one. So next one is a favorite of mine, rank. So let's go ahead and duplicate our sales just like we've done 5 times already. So click that arrow. Let's duplicate it. And let's rename this one rank. We're going to drag rank over to the bottom, if I can, if it'll let me. Gosh, I'm running out of room. Here we go. Drag rank over. So again, right now it's just the same as sales because we duplicated sales. We are going to click into this and do a quick table calculation and click rank. So rank is the first one that kind of looks drastically different and not necessarily what we'd expect, right? Bookcases 9, chairs 2, furnishings 11, tables 4. What's going on here? What rank is doing, right, is the rank of our sales along our table down. So it's saying, if we find 1, rank of 1, that is the number one subcategory we have for sales, right? 330,000. Nothing is greater than that, right? Chairs is close, 328. And you can see that comes in at rank 2. Storage is rank 3. Tables is rank 4, so on and so forth, all the way down. So a good example of when you guys may want to use this one, and again, you don't have to follow along with this point. I'm just going to show you guys. Let's say I wanted to, let's do, why am I blanking? Sorry, subcategory here.
The screen is frozen again.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Sorry you guys are having to deal with that. I appreciate you reminding me. Okay, a good example of when I like to use rank is if I want to draw attention to the biggest category, for instance. So here I'm showing all of my different categories. This is a good example. If I drag sales onto color, and then I can change this to our quick table calc of rank. And then again, you don't have to follow along and change this to discrete, right? Sometimes I will go in and I will change everything except for the very top as like a gray. And then I'll make our number one rank blue. So this is always going to color the number one rank as being blue. So it kind of jumps out the page a little bit, which we've done stuff like this before, right? We've colored phones. We'd gone in and clicked, I want phones to be blue. But what would happen where phones was no longer our top sales category? Then it would be colored blue, and a different category that was now the most would be colored gray. Rank allows that to be dynamic. So as your sum of sales change, as things go up or down over time, the color will always be coloring the number one category. So for instance, let's say, I don't even know if this will work, but let's say if we bring in like our years, this may be a bad example. We want all of these to be, I think I can do this quickly. We want all of these to be gray and number one. Right now, this one is shown right here. It's phones, but you can see we only have one bar. Well, we know that's because it's doing compute using table down. If I go pane down, now my number one rank each year will be phones. Then the next year it was actually chairs. Then the next year is chairs again. Chairs are going on a bit of a run. And then the next year, phones again. So this would be an example of when you may want to use rank to color something, but you don't know what you want to color. You just want to show that the most sales any given year, the number one rank is always going to be number one. Everything else we want gray. And obviously this is like really ugly. We could probably do something like this. But it allows you to color it based on like what your measure is and not necessarily hard coding that phones is always going to be blue or chairs is always going to be blue.
Can you show how you did that again?
Yeah, what part specifically?
Making number one a different color.
Yep. So I just dragged in sales to my color. And then I changed it, right? Because right now it's just sum of sales. I want to show it as the rank. And then by default, it's just showing 1 through 68, kind of these different shades. I want it to be categorical or discrete. And again, you don't need to follow along with this part, but I chose discrete. And then this gives each color or each number a discrete color here. Then to change them.
Automatically makes number one a different color?
Nope. So then to change it, you click into color and click edit colors. And then what I did was I just pretty much highlighted all these. I clicked 2 and then scrolled all the way down. If you click shift and then click again, it will highlight all of them you can see. So I changed them all to gray.
Okay.
and then change number 1 to whatever you want it to be. Does that make sense?
Yes, thanks.
Yep. And then I guess, sorry, the last thing I did, if you're following along with this part, is make sure that we're compute using pane down. So then that way each color or each year will have a different rank.
You really have to think about how you want to use the data.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to think about how to display it. It's just a whole hard thing.
For sure. It's which is funny, like taking this course, we haven't really learned a new chart type since the first couple nights, right? It's like, here's how you make a bar chart, line chart, scatter plot. Here's how you make, a pie chart and all that jazz. Anybody can do that. You can download, and even if you weren't teaching this, like taking this class, it's like, oh, drag something here as a bar chart, right? That's not the hard part of data visualization. The hard part is thinking through, what are you trying to find? What answer are you trying to, what question are you trying to answer? And then the harder part, how do you best show or articulate that answer to your audience? Sometimes it's going to be a bar chart, right? Like this specific example, I wanted to highlight what our top categories were each year. But I have to, if that wasn't what I was trying to show, then I probably wouldn't use this rank function here, right? So yes, there's a lot harder things to making good data viz than actually just building the charts themselves.
So how did you make those long solid colors again? I apologize.
No, you're fine. So we haven't really covered this before, but you can always choose, right? Most of the time, our dimensions are going to be categorical, right? Region or category and subcategory, shipping mode, right? Distinct things. Most of the time, our measures are going to be things that you can add up, right? Sums, average, so on and so forth. But you can make a measure be discrete. Think like height is always a good one that you learn about growing up, the difference between continuous. Like you have 6 foot, you have 6'1", you have 6'2", you can add those up, you can average those. But you could also make that be a dimension. You can make 6 foot be categorical, 6'1" be categorical, 6'2". Say you wanted to count how many people were those different heights, right? So then at that point, your measure, your traditional measure becomes a dimension or changes from continuous to discrete. So by default, when you first drag over sum of sales, whoops, that's not what I did. When you first drag over your rank, right, it's saying, oh, I need to change this. Quick table calc rank. It's saying, oh, I can add these up. I'm going to sum up 1, I'm going to sum up 2, I'm going to sum up 3, because it's a number and it thinks that it's a continuous 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 70, 68, right? I'm going in and saying, no, I don't want you to treat it as continuous. I want you to treat each rank as its own thing. I want you to make it categorical. I want you to make it discrete. I want you to make it a dimension. So now you have all these new dimensions, 1, 2, 3, 4, and they're all colored something a little different. So that was kind of the step I breezed through that we didn't really talk about. Right, then you just click in and you edit. And again, you could go in this way really slowly and change them all to gray. But what I did is just click on 2.
Oh, so you highlight it. Okay.
Yep. If you hold down Shift and click, it will highlight everything in between. I changed that gray. Great questions. Okay, let's go back to our table, or sheet 1. We have sales, we have percentage total, we have running total, difference, percent difference, rank. There's just a couple more. Let me click in so I can see what the next one is. Whoops. Percentile. So let's duplicate sales again. And let's rename it percentile. Now I'm going to drag percentile over. I'm running out of room. Yeah, if you're out of room like I did, what I just did is you can drag it anywhere. You can see that little orange arrow pops up to the left telling you where you're going to put it. I just dragged it, then I scrolled down and dragged the one at the bottom up. It doesn't matter. They can be in any order you want, though. Okay, so for percentile, again, right now, it's just like sales, it's just a duplicate. We're going to click in, and we're going to go quick table calc, and we're going to choose percentile. So percentile is very similar to rank, similar to like difference and percent difference. It's very similar to rank, but instead of shown as a number, shown as percent. So it is going to say, out of all the sales that we have, what percentile is 330,000? So nothing is bigger than 330,000, right? We know this because it's the rank of one. We just talked through it. But it's saying it is in the top 100%. It's above everything below it. It's above the top 90%. It's above the top 80%. Nothing is higher than this one. If I were to go to our second biggest category, which I think was chairs, is in the 93rd percentile. So that's saying it's bigger than 93% of our other categories, our other sum of sales. Right, our smallest one here, number 17, our poor fasteners, it's saying it's bigger than 0% of our subcategories when it comes to total sales. Right, you can click into any number of these examples. This one is bigger than 37%. So when this one might be nice instead of rank, right? Here we only have 17. It's not that many to kind of deal with. Let's say we had like hundreds of thousands. We wouldn't want to show this is rank 837,416 and this is rank 837,417, right? We would just want to know that these are in the 50th percentile. They're about in the middle. This is in the 90th percentile, right? A lot of times you'll see this as like standardized test scores. If you guys took the ACT or have kids that have taken the ACT, it'll tell you, hey, they're in the 90th percentile. It's not going to go in and say they are the 500 million, whatever, smartest kid when it comes to the ACT. They're going to say they're smarter than about 90% of them, or they're smarter than about 50% of them. Right? 50 percentile means they're right in the middle. So it allows you to show relative rank across your different categories without showing a specific or a hard-coded number, which begins to balloon and get a little complicated once you have too many.
Okay, I have so I can have, it won't show me my percentile, but it tells me it already exists. So when I try to, so it's in there, when I try to.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking for some percentile, but it's.
Yeah.
So that's good to know.
Yeah.
So, and then we just did the.
Click in, go quick
the
to
ca-
calc.
the- And then we did percentile.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. We didn't do this for the last couple because it doesn't really matter. But again, these right now, you can see are shown across, or sorry, down the table, both percentile and rank, which for these examples is fine. But I don't want you to forget about if you did want to change that, you'd go compute using pane down. And now you can see it just goes 1, 2, 3, 4 because we only have 4 subcategories in here.
I apologize. Do that again.
Yep. I was just saying for rank, it was, right, we had 2, 9, 11, 4, because this is calculating down all the way down the table.
Okay.
So I just clicked into our sum of rank and chose compute using pane down. Now I just have, right now it's just showing for furniture, 1, 2, 3, 4 are the ranks here. For office supplies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm just trying to keep things consistent since we did that for our first couple, but for the sake of the example, it doesn't really matter. Okay, let's go to our very last quick table calc. So let's one last time duplicate sales. So click into that, choose duplicate. And then our sales copy, let's click and rename, and we're going to call this moving average. Now for moving average, we're going to drag this over. Sorry, I'm kind of running out of room here. But you can see, right, same as sales, just a duplication. Well, let's click into moving average and go quick table calc and choose moving average. Now, what this is doing is, like it sounds, it is going to, right, we're calculating down the table. It is going to keep track of what our average number of sales is down the table. So the first line is 114,880. That's all it's comparing against, so it's exactly the same. The next one, big chairs, right, 328,000. It is going to calculate 114,000 and 338,000 and tell us the average of those two, which is 221,000. So it's somewhere between, sorry, I need to do this. It's somewhere between, right, 114 to 328. It's not somewhere between, it's exactly between those two. So it's gone up a little bit. Then our next category is only 91,000. So it's going to average these three. So it comes down a little bit, down to 178, right? Then we have a big 206. So it's going to go up a little bit, 206,000. And it's going to calculate that moving average all the way down our table. So, and again, you don't need to follow along with this part, but this is actually a kind of good example of when you may want to use this. Whoops. What the hell? Why is that still there? Here's our monthly sales. You can see it's a little all over the place. A lot of times what I'll do, if I don't need to know the exact numbers, I just want to say on average about how many sales do we do. I'll do a similar kind of dual axis where here's my monthly sales. And then here I'll do quick table calc, moving average. And this is going to smooth out that line a little bit. And then a lot of times what I'll even do is I will make this a dual axis. And then I will actually change the color of our sales to be a little kind of like not quite see-through, but kind of in the background. So you can see how our individual months sales progresses, but really all I care about is this moving average. It looks like we have some seasonal peaks in the winter. Maybe people are ordering Christmas gifts, right? Some seasonal lulls in the springs. And on average, it's kind of gone up and to the right. So we've done more sales every year. It looks like we're growing. Any questions on moving average?
I like the fact that you could just put everything all on one chart.
Yeah.
Needless to say.
I like, yeah.
And then if you want to create the graphs,
Mm-hmm.
the forecasting.
Yeah, this is a really good example of, like obviously it took us, an hour to do it as a class because I was teaching how it did and we're learning it for the first time. But let's say I really wanted to dive into our sales for category and subcategory. A basic table like this showing the same data, sales, right, 7 different ways is such a good, like quick start in understanding how our sales are different across our different categories and subcategories than having to make 7 different calculated fields. Well, it'd probably be like 20 different calculated fields. And like, I just want to understand what we're working with here. Like I can easily see where our top categories are now, right? Chairs and phones. I can easily see what the average is. I can see how these change over time, percentage of totals. So yeah, it's a really good starter. So then you find your thing that you think is interesting. You're done doing the EDA, and now you're ready to do the data viz. So you go and you build a chart showing just that specific thing, and that's what you publish to your stakeholders. Yeah, that's a great call out, Tammy. Any other questions here? Okay, I'm going to, I want to give you guys plenty of time for the homework tonight. So I'm going to speed through. I'm actually going to go back to my PowerPoint ways. And I'm just going to talk through these last 4. We're not going to build them. I'm just going to talk through them. They're actually very similar. The only difference is these contain dates. So here's the first 7 we built, right? Running total, difference of total, rank, percentile, moving average. As we were building these out, these bottom 4 were grayed out. We couldn't choose them. These will only work if you have a date involved. Because these top 7, it doesn't matter. It is going to do however your table is structured, right? If you're doing table down, it's just going to look at the one above it. If you do pane down, right, it'll split on each pane, but it's just looking at the one above it. If we were to do table across, which we didn't do any examples of, but it's just going to do the one to the left of it. So while this is, I think I have the example in the slides here, right? Chairs being below bookcases, that's completely arbitrary, right? That's just the way the data pulled in. So I'm doing the difference between chairs and bookcases. It's just going to do the difference between chairs and bookcases because bookcases is ahead of it, right? If I were to move these around and reorder them, my calculations would move around and reorder. So it's totally dependent on how the table is structured. Running total down, running total across, pane down, pane across. However your table is set up, that's what matters. These bottom 4, however, is all going to be relative to a date. So it's going to compare 2016 to 2015, 2017 to 2016, 2018 to 2017, right? It's going to compare February to January, March to February, right? Dates are things that have logical progressions, no matter how the data is structured. So they're actually kind of the same. Some of them are the same exact calcs, but it's going to kind of orient itself dependent on a date. So for instance, the very first one here, I'll just show you here, like this is just sum of sales, right? We've built this a million times. And it's so funny. Tableau Superstore data has changed since I built these slides. Like ours that we're working with this class only goes to 2017, but I promise it's the same data, right? We have 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, and then January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. So we have our summer sales. Our year-to-date total, that's just a running total. The only difference is it's now doing it for individual years. So I don't have to tell it table across and then restart, table across and restart, right? It's going to say, okay, for 2017, I know January is the first month of the year. I know February is the second month of the year. So it's going to say year to date for the course of the year to where we're at now, what's the total sales that we've done. But all it is a running total. Compound growth rate, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I don't really understand what that is. I've taught this class 7 times now, and so I've Googled it a number of times. It's like a finance thing where you need to understand how it's changing year over year. We can ignore that one. Year over year growth, this is just going to look at our running total compared to the year before it. So are we above or below where we're at this year compared to where we were at last year? And then year to date growth is just going to compare, okay, how much have we grown year to date compared to how much we had grown the previous year to date. So I don't think it's useful to go through and build all 4 of these out where we've already built the individual table calcs. The only difference is if you want to use them, you have to have a date involved. So it will save you when you get into some of the more advanced things where you're actually changing what your quick table calcs are. It will save you some steps there. But for the sake of this class, we aren't going to necessarily use them. But if you're curious why they were grayed out and why we weren't using them, that's why. It's because we didn't have any dates in there. So I can even show you. I'll show you one example of just what I mean. If I have my sum of sales and, well, I guess I kind of just said this, but still, subcategory. And I wanted to do a quick table calc for my sum of sales. I could do a running total here. I can't do a year-to-date total. See, if I try to click into that, it's grayed out. It's telling me I need a date. But if I get rid of my subcategory and I bring in my order date, and then I think I would need to do month. Then I can go in and do quick table calc. Oh, year-to-date total. So I don't have my years, right? So I would actually need to do, I would need 2 things on here. I would need my order date. I can change this to like a month. Sorry, this is a bad example, but I already started it, so I can't stop. Now I have my years and my months, so I can compare specific months in specific years. Now, if I go in, it will say, okay, here's my year-to-date total. Here's my year-over-year growth. Here's my year-to-date growth. Again, I'll probably, if I'm being honest with you guys, in future classes, just get rid of this section because it's not super beneficial for the sake of the course. But since I had it in there, I thought we'd cover it. Okay. I'm going to talk through the homework. Give me like 5 to 10 minutes to talk through the homework. And then we'll take a break / be done for the night. Break if you guys want to work on it now. Done for the night if you guys want to work on it tomorrow. But we are going to build our own data set. So if you guys want to go above and beyond, feel free to build it in Google Drive like I did to start. And I'll write these down so I can share it in the chat afterwards. Phew. Thank you. Build a data set. If you want to go above and beyond, feel free to build in Google Drive, right? That's just if you want to be able to edit it anywhere, have it updated anywhere. It's not really the point of why I want you to build a data set for the homework. Why I want you to build a data set for the homework is we have learned, right, 5 different nights now, different ways to manipulate data. We can only do that if we have data that we're to work with. I want you guys to spend some time and energy and thought in how that data should be structured so that you can build the visualizations that you want to build. So the example I was talking to some people in class beforehand is a lot of times people will come to you in that. If you are a data viz specialist or a data analyst somewhere, people come to me all the time and say, hey, I want to report on this thing. I want to understand if we have more people using this feature than we had last year. It's like, great, what does the data look like? And I'll go in to build them a report, and I'll realize they aren't capturing the right data that I would even use to build this report. Say we just had, using the project example I gave earlier, say they were keeping track of how many people were logging into the app every day, but they weren't keeping track of what features they were using. It's like, well, I can't tell you which features are used the most because you're not calculating that data. Or saying maybe they were calculating that data, but they weren't tracking the individual day that they logged in. It's like, well, I can't tell you how that's changed over time because you're not calculating the day. So what we've started doing at Buildertrend, what a lot of companies are doing, is before developers, and again, it could be a product developer, it could be in a specific, CRM tool you're using or a project management tool you're using, before they start building stuff, they'll actually loop in my team now. They'll loop in the data analysts, and you'll think through, okay, well, what are all the things we may someday want to report off of? It's like, well, we're going to want to see how this is changing over time. We're going to see when people or users are using it. We're going to want to see when people stop using that so we can understand the retention rates. We're going to want to understand how much they're paying us so we can see if higher value clients use, these things differently than lower value clients. So as they start building the feature and building the tables that's going to power that feature, they'll loop in the data analysts so that we can help them structure the data the right way to make reporting easier. So now that we've built some vizzes, now we're going to flip. We're going to go back in time a little bit and think through, okay, what works well for reporting, what doesn't work well for reporting. So we're going to build a data set. If you want to go above and beyond, feel free to build it in Google Drive. Excel is totally fine. Choose something you kind of care about, right? So I gave some examples of things I've seen people do before, like step counters. People will build before, like each day, how many steps do you take? Is that getting better or worse? If you're sick and do a diet, maybe it's like a calorie counter. Maybe it's a task list. Maybe it's something as simple as that. Is like, hey, every day I want to make sure I take my vitamin. I want to make sure I make my bed. I want to make sure I get to work on time, right? And so you can track how those things change. So don't think too hard about it, right? Don't spend 4 hours trying to think of the perfect thing to build for this example, but choose something you might actually use. And then let's make sure you have a couple dimensions and a couple measures in there, right? I don't want it to just be like day and score where you just rank how good of a day you had so you can see, oh, my days are getting better or worse. And it can be something simple. Maybe if you want 2 dimensions, it can be month and day, right? That would give you 2 things categorized by. Maybe your months are getting better in the summer and you have, I hate the winter time. I have seasonal depression. Maybe they get worse in the winter. Maybe your Mondays are always awful because everyone hates Mondays, right? So it can be 2 simple dimensions like that, like year or a month and day. And the measures can be simple too. Maybe it's, how many tasks did I do? I don't know, coming up with examples are hard. The point is try to make sure you have at least, have at least 3 to 4 columns. Now, so think through and build the data set. Then you're going to bring it into Tableau and think through and build the charts. Maybe it's just 1 chart. Maybe it's 2. Now, the reason I have these listed as 2 separate steps is what I think you may find is you will build the data set. You're like, okay, perfect. I have everything that I need. Then you'll go to actually build your charts and you'll be like, oh, shoot, I can't build that chart because I don't have this data point. So then you may need to go back to your data set and add in a different data point. Then you can go in, you can start building your chart. You'd be like, oh, shoot, this chart actually isn't a good use of this data. So you may go back and forth a little bit there. This does not need to be the point of this homework. The point of this homework is to build a data set, right? So you don't need to spend hours making it pretty, right? Similar to night one where I told you just build something and publish it. Similar to this, build a good data set, build a couple charts to show that you're actually using that data set and publish that. But the point of this is to build the data set, not making a super, super robust dashboard. And then send me the link.
We can't build.
Yep. Any questions on the homework here? Yeah, for sure. That's why I wanted to make sure we got done by at least 8 so you guys could have a full hour. Now, as always, if you guys need to get out of here, feel free to get out of here. Just make sure this is done by Wednesday. But if you want to crank it out now, I'll be hanging out here for the next hour to answer questions and assist anything that you guys may have need help with.
So I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking of doing a year-to-date weekly chore list.
Okay.
However, I'm trying to figure out how would I do the days of the week.
So what I would recommend, I love that idea actually. I would actually recommend just doing something like this. And remind me, I can't remember, can I get Excel on this computer? Okay, we'll do it. Do you have just open up a browser. Search like, oh yeah, the line organization. So go ahead and create a new tab. And just search Google Drive. Just click on that top one there. So many versions of this. Perfect. So let's go ahead and view. Oh, yeah. Okay, cool. So what I would do is instead of doing, and if anyone else is listening, the question was, if I wanted to do like days of the week, what would you recommend? That's actually a great question and a good example of like thinking through how you're going to want to structure your data. Day chore is done. Maybe something like this. If I were to just do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so on and so forth, that's great. Maybe that's all I would need, but that really limits us from a functionality standpoint. Because what if I decided down the road that I'd want to group by month instead of day of the week? Or if I wanted to group weeks, or if I wanted to group years, right? So sure, I could make 7 different columns for year, quarter, month, week, day, hour, so on and so forth. Or if I just started this as a individual date, right? So 2025, 09, 29, 2025, 09, 30, 2025, 10, 1, right? If I get it started Then it'll let me drag these down. Whoops. It'll let me drag these down.
Are you trying to wrap them?
I'm just trying to get more.
Or spread it out? Okay.
Gosh, this screen is really causing me problems. There we go. Right, then it'll just complete the rest of my dates. If I have an individual date like this, well, then we know how to work with those in Tableau, right? Now I can do, if I want to group by years, great. If I wanted to group by individual day, I can do that. If I wanted to group by individual month, I can do that. So I would recommend putting the exact date as your column, because then that will allow you to group by however big of a time frame you want, if that makes sense.
So.
And I would also start, and this is a good recommendation for everybody, I would start really simple. Instead of spending, an hour trying to make your data set, then you bring it over to Tableau and you realize, oh shoot, this isn't going to work and you have to restart. Maybe you start for this specific example. Let's just start with one day. Gosh. Let's just start with today. My chores are going to be like make bed and take out trash and load dishwasher. Right. Let's just start with those 3 examples, and then I'm just going to have it be, is it done? It's just going to be 0 or 1, so I can sum it up. Start with just one date, bring it into Tableau, be like, okay, this is working pretty well, actually. Then you can say, okay, for tomorrow, I'm going to want to do, right, then you can change this, 2025, 09/30, last day of the month is tomorrow. Whatever I'm going to do tomorrow, right? The point I'm trying to make is like, start small. Maybe you just start with literally one row with your different columns. Be like, okay, are these the right columns that I need? Bring it into Tableau. If it works, great. If not, go back into your Excel, update it, and kind of go from there.
So how did you drag it to Tableau? That's why I lost.
Drag it to what?
How did you drag the data from Google
Oh yeah.
to Tableau?
I think you were locked out when I was doing that part. So I just like Excel. And then it'll probably make you log in your Google account. Yep, but then just like normally how like your file thing pops up and you click Superstore, your Google Drive will pop up and you'll select Snap. And there, yeah, yes, it's still on top. It will bring in the, what you have so far, please.
And so now I can just continue from here, or do I have to toggle?
You're actually, yeah, you can, yeah, you'll need the toggle, you'll need to build it in Google Sheets.
So once I say I want to add 2 more and delete some of these.
Yep.
Say I just want to do it for 7 days.
Yep.
Where do I go after I do the 7
Yeah,
days?
so that's the nice thing here, is I'll show you as an example. So you can see like right now, these aren't filled in. Right, whatever, you made some changes, you deleted something, you need to change it. If I just click this little refresh button, it will refresh our data. There it is. It's just been slow, I just want to make sure. There we go. There we go. So it's just, it looks like maybe there's a couple moments delay between when you make updates in here and it shows it's there. But you should be able to make any changes you want in here and then just go in whenever you're making those changes. Go back here, that will refresh the image update. Okay. Yep. As you go through, go ahead and make your first changes or whatever. And if that doesn't work, let me know and I'll pop over.
Okay, I'm having, I don't have Excel on.
Okay, that's fine. We'll get you going. This is actually just forcing you guys to go on mode. You don't need this. Let's see.
That's just me. I got into that, so.
Oh, okay. So let's. So. We're actually going to go back to your browser, yeah. And then you create a new tab. 1 second. Okay, I think I can actually just no, that won't work.
Do people still use flash drives?
Yes.
So I can build it on a different laptop in Excel, put it on a flash drive.
And then download it here.
Yeah,
Yeah, that'll work.
okay. Okay. You're gonna do this.
I'm trying to think. I think actually you might. So I have a couple different things here.
Okay.
I don't suppose you have like a school email account that you could use, do you? Because if you do, you could get a free Excel account. Option number 2 I have would actually be to just create a new Google account, which might work totally fine as well.
I got a different one.
Oh, do you?
Mhm.
Do you want to try it? Because the only thing that was wrong with or why that last one wasn't working was it said you have space. But if you wanted to, like, you open up and
So this is
okay, let's do. So let's try your other one. If not, if that one's on space 2, I think we can just create an account and totally fine. I've ever gotten my password right the first try. Okay, sweet. So I think I need to do a right search. New. State. So let's do this first. Versus on top of search. There you go. Okay, now you should be able to just instead of the Microsoft Excel to the server. Sorry. Yeah, so I have to go through and log in again. But from them, just like we did in the class example, you should be able to use Google Sheets just like it's on.
You make that sound so easy. You're bad, I have your phone number. Like, listen, sir.
Charlie, okay,
Yeah.
so I'm a bit lost, so I'm trying to slide this to tab low. I don't recall how. Should I go machine?
No, you should already do it.
It's not calculating though. And it doesn't have everything that I want. At least I have it. So I'm gonna have to do. And it doesn't have my everything here.
There we go. So for some reason, this refresh button just doesn't seem to be working for you. But here you can see the tools are here. So what I was doing instead, when you want to change something refresh, I'm just right clicking on this refresh there. And it looks like that's getting it done as opposed to that refresh button. So now I should have.
So, I don't know how do I get my sheet with my dad.
This will be where you edit your data.
Remember, I wasn't here.
No, yeah, you're
So,
fine. You'll keep editing, like you already did an awesome job. This looks really good actually. Your data's in here now, so you can do, this is just an example. You can do something like this.
Oh, that's what, okay. That's what I was trying, I was like, okay. I apologize.
No, you're fine.
This is what I was looking for,
Yeah.
and I'm like, because I'm thinking of using the category.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. No, I like that you're doing kind of small chunks, update it, test it, update it, check, test it. That's perfect.
Anything.
Yeah, no problem.
So I want to do this, I want to create this small budget, so I can, if it works, I can put it over my budget.
Yeah, perfect.
So that's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, this is great. The first thing I would do though is
Cause I don't know where to put, how my months are gonna come in.
um, let's call
Okay.
this like category.
That's what that's what I was like, okay.
And then let's call that one like cost or something. Yeah. So you should be able to go in, but like if you wanted to do, and it's totally fine just to do it for 1 month. But if you wanted to do. I might do something like this, just.
Like I'm creating my own thing.
But I would start with doing it just for, like, honestly, the data that you have right now is perfect. I would start by just making sure. There we go. So let's go ahead and just bring in what you have already. And I'll show you how you can refresh it. So here is your data that we just typed.
Okay, yeah.
So you can already go over and see something like this. Right, so far. Now, if you want to add more things,
Add it over there.
yep, and maybe you could do something like this, the cost. This is how much I've paid. So you can compare it to. Right, now I've added in this new column. Yeah, you don't have to do that. But when I want to refresh it, right here where it says sheet 1 day 5, this is like refresh.
Okay.
And this will actually go out with the latest from my Google Drive. You should see there. The problem data. So that's how you'll build your data in Google
Okay.
Drive, and then you'll click refresh, and it will pop up. You can build your business using that data.
Okay, and once we get this built, what's our objective? We're supposed to manipulate the data?
Just do whatever you want with it.
Okay, good.
How do you change the colors again, Sean?
Yeah, just click.
Touch it.
Oh, you want them to be different.
I wanted just one line, which was the 10 mark.
Oh, gotcha. You could do.
I don't know. That's what I've been toying with it, but I didn't get that.
You can do two things. You could do your chore over here, and then you can take all these. Wait, which one is the 10 one?
So it's
Oh, okay. Oh, sorry.
But that's okay.
Play it all on blue.
This is not responding.
Okay, I forgot about that, but thank you.
Yep, no problem.
I keep missing one step.
It's not responding. Is this Wi-Fi?
Probably. I'm gonna see if I can get Chris to look at the actual Wi-Fi instead of the guest. Okay, I don't think we have anyone else online, so let me end this.
So basically,